Every tennis player knows the feeling of standing on the baseline, racket in hand, waiting for the next point to start, while your mind is running faster than your feet ever could. Thoughts jumping from fear to strategy to self-criticism to expectation. Should I hit to the backhand? What if I miss? What if they rush the net? What if I double fault again? What if people watching think I'm terrible? What if I lose? What if I embarrass myself? And suddenly the match becomes less about tennis and more about trying to survive the chaos inside your own head. Overthinking is one of the most common mental challenges in tennis, yet almost no one talks about it honestly. It hides behind technique. It hides behind strategy. It hides behind anger and frustration. But deep down, overthinking is not a problem of intelligence or lack of skill. Overthinking is a problem of fear, a fear of not being good enough, a fear of losing control, a fear of not meeting expectations, either your own or those you believe others have for you. If you've ever felt frozen during a match, stuck in your thoughts, unable to swing freely, if you've ever played a point while your mind was screaming louder than the sound of the ball, then this episode is for you. There is nothing wrong with you. You're not weak. You're not mentally fragile. You're simply experiencing the emotional weight that tennis places on the human brain. Let's explore gently why overthinking happens, what it reveals, and how you can begin to play with more calm, more clarity, and more freedom. First, understand this. Overthinking is your brain trying to protect you. It thinks it's helping. It believes that if it analyzes every possible outcome, you'll avoid danger. You'll avoid embarrassment. You'll avoid losing. You'll avoid pain. But in tennis, this protective mechanism becomes the very thing that hurts you. The brain's job is survival, not performance. It reacts to pressure as if something is threatening your identity. Because in competition, losing often feels personal. Missing feels personal. Being watched feels personal. So your brain says, let me take control. Let me think for you. Let me figure this out. And suddenly you're trapped in analysis. You're no longer reacting. You're calculating. You're no longer playing. You're protecting yourself. In practice, this rarely happens. Why? Because you feel safe. There is no score, no judgment, no emotional threat. Safety allows instinct to take over. But in matches, safety disappears. And when safety disappears, instinct disappears with it. The truth is, you do not overthink because you're slow or unsure. You overthink because you don't want to feel something. Maybe you don't want to feel the shame of missing an easy shot. Maybe you don't want to feel the embarrassment of losing to someone you think you should beat. Maybe you don't want to feel judged by people watching. Maybe you don't want to feel the disappointment of letting yourself down. Overthinking is not the cause. It is the symptom of emotional pressure. So how do we begin to quiet the mind? Not by forcing it to be silent. Not by telling yourself to just relax or stop thinking. That never works. It only feeds the pressure. What works is understanding why your mind is loud, and then teaching your nervous system that you are safe enough to play freely. The first shift is accepting mistakes as part of the game, not threats to your identity. When a mistake is simply a mistake, the mind doesn't react. But when a mistake feels like failure, the mind floods with thoughts to prevent the next one. Overthinking is your brain saying, I can't afford to mess up again. But what if you could gently teach yourself that mistakes are not danger, but information? What if missing a shot didn't mean you were a bad player, just a human one? Another reason overthinking happens is because you feel the need to control everything. The ball, the opponent, the outcome, your image, your emotions. But tennis is not a sport of control. It's a sport of adaptation. The players who play their best tennis are not the ones who think the most. They are the ones who trust themselves the most. Think about the moments when you have played your best. You weren't thinking. You were moving. You were responding. You were flowing. You were trusting. That state of flow is not found by thinking more. It is found by needing to think less. To get there, you must shift your attention away from outcomes and back to sensations. Not, how should I hit this ball? But what does this ball feel like? Not, what if I miss? But where is my body in space? Not, what will they think of me? But what do I see in front of me? Overthinking pulls you into the future. Freedom pulls you into the present. One way to soften overthinking is to anchor yourself in something physical. Your breath, your feet, the sound of the ball, the weight of the racket. Anything that brings your awareness out of your thoughts and into your body. The body plays tennis. The mind only helps. But here's something important. You cannot bully your mind into silence. You cannot silence overthinking by force. You quiet the mind by giving it less to fear, by creating emotional safety. When you stop judging yourself harshly, your mind will stop panicking. When you stop tying your identity to every point, your mind will loosen its grip. When you stop treating tennis as a test you must pass, your mind will relax into the present moment. You will always have thoughts, but they do not need to control your actions. The goal is not to become empty. The goal is to become free. And now I want to speak directly to the part of you that is tired of feeling trapped in your own head. The part that wants so badly to play freely. The part that knows you are better than the tightness and fear that show up in matches. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're not weak. You're simply human. You care deeply. And sometimes caring deeply makes the mind loud. The fact that you overthink means you want to do well. It means tennis matters to you. But the real transformation happens when you learn to care without fearing the outcome. Before we close, here is your CTA. If this episode made you feel seen, I invite you to subscribe to the channel for more deep tennis psychology content that speaks directly to your experience. Share this episode with someone who also struggles with overthinking. You may help them understand themselves in a way no coach ever has. And in the comments, tell me honestly, what do you overthink the most during a match? Your answer may help another player realize they are not alone in this mental fight. And now, for the closing message. You are more than your thoughts. You are more than your fears. You are more than the moments when your mind feels louder than your instincts. Deep down, beneath the layers of pressure and expectation, there is a player who knows how to play freely. A player who trusts. A player who feels. A player who moves without fear. That player is not lost. They are simply waiting for you to stop fighting your mind and start listening to your heart. You do not need to eliminate overthinking to play well. You only need to remember who you are when you feel safe, present, and free.